This telecast is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Winchester, a nonpartisan organization for 85 years encouraging the informed and active participation of citizens in government.
Hello, my name is Ann Bailey Berman, and as a member of the Winchester League of Women Voters, I welcome you to the League's forum for candidates for the town-wide contested races. Contested races are important, as contested races allow for an articulation of issues that we as citizens need to understand to fulfill our civic responsibility to be informed. Elections pose time to think about and affirm priorities in a time of balancing many needs with very strong budget crunches that we face right now. They allow we voters to view issues from a comprehensive perspective rather than a narrow one that we get from day-to-day information. This year we have one contested race in Winchester in which all candidates agreed to participate in a forum. It is for the 3-year term on the planning board. We had expected to host candidates from 2 other races, the Board of Selectmen and the Assessors. Now there is a sole candidate for the Board of Selectmen, and unfortunately only Robert Heron, candidate for the Board of Assessors, agreed to attend a league-sponsored forum. The good news is that for the remainder of this hour, we have an opportunity to hear 4 candidates for the planning board discuss a range of issues important to the future of Winchester that the elected member will face. All should be commended for running. Elected officials are volunteers of their time to the Winchester community, and it takes a tremendous amount of time and technical expertise to address the duties of this particular office. The planning board is the elected board that is authorized to study and plan the physical aspects of the town. It regulates proactively or otherwise the subdivision and development of Winchester. Its authority arises from 3 sources: powers provided by the Commonwealth itself to all towns' planning boards, from the town's charter, and from subsequent votes from the town meeting. Our candidates, and let me introduce them, from the left is Lance Grinsback. Next to him is Peter Van Aken. And then on this side, on the left, is Gary Connors and Brendan Driscoll. The ground rules for this session are simple. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make an opening statement. Afterwards, each will answer questions that have been submitted to the League from you, the voters. At the end, each will have another minute to make concluding thoughts. To be sure, your time is going to be monitored by 2 League members, Madeline Kaiser and Francis Shawcross, and prompts will be given to you to help engage your time. Earlier, the candidates drew straws to determine who would start, and Lance, you won, so we'll proceed.
Good. Thank you, Ann. Good evening. My name is Lance Grinsback. I'm a candidate for the planning board. I grew up in Winchester, graduated from Winchester High School, and have lived here in town for most of my life. My wife, Joan, works at the high school as a guidance counselor, worked there for many years. We have 2 children, Katie and Robbie, both attended public school in Winchester and graduated from the high school also. I'm a professional planner. I hold a bachelor's degree in government and a master's degree in city planning and economics, both from Harvard. I work as a senior vice president of Cambridge Systematics. It's a 200-person consulting firm. I advise cities, states, federal government, and private sector firms on transportation, economic development, and finance issues. The planning board faces 2 serious challenges. First, development issues. We're short of open land. We're under pressure to reuse our buildings. When I talk to people, I hear a series of messages. We want development income to balance the town budget, want to protect our neighborhoods, want to bring jobs to our town center, and want to protect the character of the town. Now, to do this, we must be able to both attract and control and shape good development. For the planning board, this means that they must update the master plan, and we must bring our zoning bylaws into the 21st century. Second challenge facing the planning board is one of finance. The town is facing very serious financial problems. We're short of revenues, starting to sink. We're beginning to lay off teachers, firemen, policemen, and for me, this means that the planning board has to look beyond its immediate zoning task and start working with the other town boards to think strategically about how to balance the budget and how to deal with our housing, education, and public safety needs. I believe Winchester citizens care deeply about the community and are willing to commit the time and effort to shape its future. I'm here tonight to ask you for your vote to help do that. I thank you very much, Ann.
Peter Van Aken.
Thank you. My name is Peter Van Aken. I too am a candidate for the planning board. I have been active in Winchester town affairs for some time. I was a town meeting member first in the mid-'80s and still am. I was a selectman for 2 terms. I was chairman of the capital planning committee for 6 or so years. I've lived in Winchester since early 1970s. My 2 children are both graduates of the Winchester school system. I'm very much committed to making this community a good place to live and to thrive. And I've given a good deal of time back to the community in pursuit of that. The option of running for the planning board became obvious as something that was interesting to me. I have done planning professionally in an earlier career, although now I run a computer company. I was at one point involved in planning at the university, at MIT, and at other institutions, so I have some background there. As some of you may remember, when I ran for the Board of Selectmen, it was of interest to me to stress planning and to try to do some planning in that vein. We need this. It's a very difficult job to look ahead. The Board of Selectmen is under some pressure to deal with today's problems, as is the Finance Board. We need to have a longer-term perspective, and the Planning Board is, I think, the place to do this. I often hear Winchester is fully developed. We don't need any planning. I would submit that's absolutely untrue. We're entering a phase that I would call redevelopment. And you can see that downtown, and you can begin to see some of that in the residential areas. We need to do this in a controlled and reasonable way that is under a plan developed by the community, and I think the planning board can take the lead in doing that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter. Gary?
Thank you, Ann. Good evening. My name's Gary Connors. I live on Dunster Lane with my wife Laura, my 2 kids Matthew and Michaela. I've been a resident of the town for the past 12 years. I grew up in Bedford originally. I have an industrial engineering degree from the University of Lowell, which I believe is now the UMass Lowell. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to speak my views, offer my opinion and consensus for the planning board, and thoughts on coming forward and what we can do to help the community of Winchester. I think it's a great community. Proud to live in the town. Currently a project manager for Suffolk Construction, national construction firm, and I understand and implement all kinds of planning for the projects that I build in Boston. Been with them for approximately 6 years, and prior to that, a smaller construction firm. I chose to get involved and run for the seat at the planning board because I feel I can have a positive difference. I come with a fresh perspective. I want to open up this board to more public discussion on issues and choices that Winchester will eventually have to face. I feel Winchester is at a very critical stage, and planning is one of the key components to ensuring that Winchester is able to maintain and increase its strong sense of community and services. Before we move as a town to adopt significant planning measures or initiatives, we must ensure that citizens fully understand the cost and benefit of what we are doing. There are no quick fixes or solutions to the issues we face as a community. We need to advance as much needed comprehensive master plan and also a full-time town planner that will develop the comprehensive master plan and implement its initiatives. A comprehensive master plan and planner is a must and is long overdue. I want to be part of the process in communicating the comprehensive plan and ensure that each element and component of the plan is fully defined and understood. Thank you.
And last but not least, Brendan Driscoll.
Good evening, and thank you. I'd like to first thank the League of Women Voters for inviting me this evening. Good evening. My name is Brendan Driscoll, and I'm a candidate for Planning Board. I have been a Winchester resident for the past 6 years, currently reside on Trinity Road with my wife Heidi and my 3 children, John, who's 7, Jamie, 6, and Emma, who is 4. Both John and Jamie attend the Vincent Owens School. I grew up in Medford and graduated from Arlington Catholic High School. I am a licensed construction supervisor in the state of Massachusetts, a licensed master electrician in Massachusetts and in New Hampshire as well. I currently own my own electrical contracting firm, which is based in Medford and employ 20 people. In addition, I have developed residential and commercial properties in Winchester, Arlington, Medford, Somerville, Everett, and in Chatham, Massachusetts. I currently own and manage properties in Winchester and Medford as well. The goals of the planning board, and I think the goals of all residents in the town, are to implement a revised and ongoing master plan which will allow the town to fulfill its goals. It's a very difficult situation that the town is in currently. A lot of people that I talk to say they want to leave Winchester the way it is. They like the feel, but it's crucial for the planning board, the Board of Selectmen, and others to look at development in a sense that allows us to control what's happening in the town and not allow development to be forced upon us. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the questions. These were all questions that were submitted to the League by the public. And the first one, which was the one that was probably most frequently asked, is, would you advocate the hiring of a paid town planner? And if so, to whom should the planner report? And Peter, we'll start with you.
Should we have a paid town planner? Absolutely, we certainly should. There is a great deal of work that needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. We have the problem of meshing with the state road rules and regulations and the changes therein. We have the problem of interfacing and interacting with other boards and other parts of the community. There's a data gathering and analysis function. There are a whole variety of things which need to have a presence basically day to day and during the day. And volunteers, I think, are an important part of the process, but in fact, I think cannot handle this alone. As to whom should the planner report? The planner, I think, there are models in this town that make a great deal of sense, that are tried and true. It's sort of like asking, who should the librarian report to? If you look at who the librarian works for, the librarian takes direction and policy and so forth from an elected board, the Board of Library Trustees. But if you look on the paper, she actually works for the town manager, as do almost all of the other employees that are not in the school system. So as far as to whom should the planner report, I'm very comfortable with the planner reporting to the town manager. This is a resource that can be shared and should be shared. We have a great deal of fiscal problems, and we really can't afford at this point in time to have a planner here and a planner there, although it may be a nice idea. So I see a planner shared and reporting to the town manager, and that's, I think, more than adequate for getting started with a very complicated series of problems.
Thanks. Gary?
Thank you, Ann. I would advocate for a town planner. This, along with the updated master plan, are probably the two issues that have been ignored for years and continuously have been put off. A town planner is usually a certified professional who will bring the opportunity of a viable, comprehensive master plan, and also would bring expertise and potential monetary grants the town would be able to obtain to fulfill certain aspects of what is in the master plan. Whom the planner should report to is an ongoing great debate. When we finally hire one in the coming time, I feel that the planner should report to the town manager with direction and guidance from the planning board. as the planning board is the board that is concerned with the resources and possibilities and the needs of the town. Thank you.
Okay. And Brendan?
I would strongly advocate the hiring of a town planner, assuming that funding was available. I realize funding is not going to be available anytime soon, and I think we need to work towards determining how funding will become available. I believe the town planner should report to the town manager and should receive input and direction from the planning board in order to achieve our objectives.
And finally, Lance.
Well, I think very definitely we need a town planner. We are at a stage in the town's development, the town's budget. We cannot afford surprises. We cannot afford to sort of misunderstand demographic projections over the next 5 to 10 years. We cannot afford to misunderstand housing needs over the next 5 to 10 years, and we certainly cannot lose opportunities to preserve open space in this area. I think the planning board should be responsible for hiring and supervising the planner, but I would strongly recommend that that be done with the full participation of the town manager. I think we no longer have the luxury, as we've had in past years, of having different groups, different boards debating and squabbling over the use of staff time. We simply can't afford that at this point, and I think that it's very much incumbent upon the planning board and the selectmen, as well as the school committee and the finance committee, to begin working together and beginning make full use of all the staff resources that are out there. I think we face a very, very complex planning situation in the town. We're going to need a senior planner with considerable experience to leverage what we're doing, and I think we want to make sure that they mesh and integrate very carefully with the other staff in the town to accomplish what we need to do. Thank you.
The next question relates to the master plan. The last time that Winchester developed a master plan was in 1953. So Gary, starting with you, how important is it for Winchester to have an updated master plan?
Thank you. This is the single most important item and tool for Winchester's future. Without a master plan or an updated master plan, there's no guidance for the future. We will continue to have various individuals and groups other than the planning board controlling and making decisions on planning. Winchester has been making planning decisions and trying to implement those decisions on the fly, not realizing the impact they have on the town budget, resources, schools, and infrastructure. A master plan will bring focus and structure to Winchester, as well as a needed consolidation of whom is in charge of planning and what parameters this town should focus on. The master plan we have now is 50 years old, as Ann mentioned, and does not address current needs and issues facing Winchester today, and this is a must and is long overdue. Thank you.
Brendan, do we need an updated master plan?
Yes, I believe we do. I believe it's crucial to Winchester's long-term success. Without an updated master plan, which can evolve over time, we as a town will be forced to react to difficult issues as they confront us, instead of, as Gary said, having a long-term vision for what we believe is correct for us.
And Lance?
Well, I think an updated master plan is well overdue. However, I think the Winchester citizens and voters should understand that under Massachusetts law, a master plan does not necessarily have to be connected with the zoning bylaws. You can paint the master plan blue, the zoning bylaws green, they don't have to match. I think the value, however, of doing a master plan is the fact that it's an opportunity to pull the community together. By and large, planning is not about getting forecasts right 5, 10, 15 years away from now. Planning is about providing a forum, providing a table for the community to think about the problems they're facing and talk about them and begin to look forward and resolve what they want to do. Master plan can provide that vehicle and can provide the kind of conversation that we very much need. We've had over the past few years lots of examples of people individually working quite hard to look at issues, housing and development, open space, recreation, education. The master plan is an opportunity to bring some of these together and begin to talk about our values and see what we can do with them.
And Peter, do we need a master plan?
I'm certainly not going to disagree. We do need a master plan. One of the frustrations of sitting in town meeting and having zoning changes, for example, coming before the town meeting is that there is no context against which to hold up this change in zoning. How does this fit in with where the community wants to go? And how then are you to judge this except sort of on an individual case-by-case basis? Does the community want to develop in certain ways, and does this zoning change help this or hinder this type of thing? We've had, I think, an opportunity to begin to think in terms of collecting these kinds of information. In the past few years, we've had the Envisage Winchester, we've had a strategic plan. I think we've squandered the opportunity to continue that process and to have a wide participation by members of the community in developing where we want to go as a community. And that, I believe, is a role the planning board should take the lead in developing. It's one of the most important things it can do. Thank you.
I think we have a consensus on the master plan. The next question, we'll start with Brendan. How can the planning board work effectively with the Board of Selectmen to implement the master plan?
Both sides need to realize that they are there to represent the residents of the town in an effort to focus on what is in the town's best interest. Newcomers and long-term residents choose to reside in Winchester because it is special. The master plan is an expression of what Winchester is today, and more importantly, what we want and expect it to become in the future.
Lance?
Well, I attended a joint meeting of the planning board and the selectmen earlier this week, which I thought was a very positive step. And the discussions I heard there, I thought were also very positive. As I've talked to individuals on the selectmen's board and as well on the planning board and some of the other committees, I think there's a general awareness that it is time for the various committees in the town to pool their efforts and address the town's issues. So I think that there is a positive environment, and I think it would be up to us, as well as the incumbent members on the thing, to make the advance, to approach the selectmen, to approach the school committee, approach the finance committee, to offer to work with them, and to basically offer to help pull together the information and provide the kind of strategic view that will help people sort out priorities. We very desperately need to figure out where we are today, look ahead, figure out where we want to go, and begin to bring forth the conversations on how we're going to balance those needs. I said earlier, we need to balance housing, education, public safety. We need to balance that in the context of a total budget so that the town and its voters can make intelligent choices and shape the town's future.
Peter, how would you work effectively with the Board of Selectmen?
I think that the ability of the planning board to work well with the selectmen needs to take into account the difference in their time frame or their planning horizon. And I think that has led to some of the difficulties that we see now. The Board of Selectmen, and I say this from my own experience, has a great deal of pressure to deal with the here and now. And the planning board has an opportunity, if they choose to set their priorities in that direction, to take a much longer term view, and therefore can be complementary to the Board of Selectmen rather than competing. And I think we can do that. I've certainly sat in contentious boards before. The ability to listen and to have some empathy for the other points of view is critical. From what I hear, the comments of both the existing Board of Selectmen and Planning Board members is that we've reached the point that we can do this, have a fruitful dialogue, and move ahead.
And Gary, how would you work with the board?
If the criteria for the master plan is developed by a staff planner and the planning board, then approved and implemented through the town meeting process, both boards should have enough vested interest and common ground on which to move Winchester forward. A master plan communicates in very clear terms of what needs to be accomplished during what period of time. Team approach. Everybody needs to be involved. There are 9 items. I selected major elements out of the Chapter 41 Mass General Laws. It's going to require everybody's input to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break and be back in just a few moments. Thank you.
The Winchester League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization that promotes informed participation in all levels of government. We hold forums with political candidates and on issues like flood control. We register eligible voters at the high school. Honor town employees at an annual lunch. Our members are women and men 18 years and up. Our activities are designed to fit busy lives.
Access is empowerment.
Access is technology.
Access is involvement.
Access is expression.
Access is community.
Access is fun.
Access is knowledge. Access is democracy.
Access is free speech. Please be part of the Access experience. Contact your local Access Center for more information.
When you see a chessboard, does it fascinate you? Would you like to play some more chess? Have you played at school, at home, online, with some friends? If you have, and you'd like to play some more chess, we have a chess club in Winchester. It meets at the Church of the Epiphany on Church Street. We play on Friday evenings. You can call us at the number shown on the screen or check out the webpage. Anyway, it's your move.
Hi, I'm Alan Iden, host of WinCam's award-winning election night coverage. Please join me, political analyst Alan McDonald, and political reporter David Frankel from the Town Hall as we bring you live town election results as they happen. Tune in to WinCam's Government Channel 9, Tuesday, March 29th at 8 p.m.
The Winchester League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization that promotes informed participation in all levels of government. We hold forums with political candidates and on issues like flood control. We register eligible voters at the high school, honor town employees at an annual lunch. Our members are women and men 18 years and up. Our activities are designed to fit busy lives.
Welcome back. We're at the League of Women Voters Forum for with the candidates for the planning board, discussing the issues that one of them will face in the coming year. We're going to start with one more question, starting with Lance. What are your plans to encourage commercial development in order to increase Winchester's tax base and reduce the burden on residential property taxpayers?
Well, I think we have two opportunities to increase our commercial space in Winchester. One would be on the few remaining parcels we have about town. On those, we have an opportunity to develop multiple uses, perhaps some residential property, commercial property, perhaps some open space. There are very few of those opportunities, and they're going to take some time and some careful planning to realize. The second opportunity we have is in the downtown, in the town center, where there is a demand for office space, for incubator office space. But again, this has to be nurtured carefully, because in order to change and provide that space in the downtown, we have to do it to protect the character of the downtown, also to make sure we don't displace our merchants, for whom it takes a very long time to develop a business in a town like this. There are, however, I think, a couple trends regionally that are going to help us in this respect. The Boston metropolitan area, which now extends well up into New Hampshire and down toward Connecticut, is growing fairly effectively, but so is congestion and traffic. That makes Winchester a particularly valuable location. The commuter rail service into Boston, the access to I-93 and 128 area make this a very attractive location. I think we can take advantage of that to entice people to locate small offices here, produce manageable kind of traffic volumes, and also bring shopping into the downtown during the lunch period and others. So I think there are some opportunities to do this, but I think it's going to be something we have to pay very careful attention to if we want to generate cash from it.
Peter, what would you do to encourage commercial development?
Thank you. I think one needs to recognize that the commercial development is helpful in general in regard to revenues. It does not consume the kind of services that residential properties do. And from that point of view, it helps us develop a sort of long-term financial plan as well as a long-term physical plan. In order to do this, we have to have space in which to operate. to add to our base or to involve ourselves in the redevelopment effort that I mentioned before. We began to see some of this downtown and some thoughtful and careful redevelopment. We want to retain the character of the downtown, but there are some opportunities which are now being discussed in town meeting and in the planning board and elsewhere in terms of overlay districts, in terms of rezoning certain parts of downtown, which would encourage commercial development and perhaps some residential development as part of a smart growth initiative which is being promoted by the state. I think these are good plans that need to be moved along quickly. We do need to have a vision of where we're going in the longer term and how it is going to affect revenue, and this is a good example of it. Thank you.
Gary?
Thank you, Matt. I do support the idea of commercial development. What I will point back to is the need for a full-time planner and also an updated master plan that fosters smart growth initiatives and revenue-creating development. I'm not a person who wants a quick fix or an easy solution. We're out of those options, and if more of the same is going to be expected, the raft is going to tip over and we'll lose more services and employees. I know that if we develop a master plan, it will guide us into what is acceptable and I want to be elected so that I can implement the master plan and carry out the revenue-generating development that takes advantage of smart growth planning and maintains our sense of Winchester. Yes, we have a revenue problem in town, and I know this needs to be addressed. We need a systematic approach to this issue and should not be hasty in our choices. Thank you.
Thank you. And Brendan?
Thank you. My plan, if elected as a planning board member, would be to study existing zoning bylaws and modify them if feasible to allow development in selected areas which the board feels suitable for further development. As part of this, existing residents' input is crucial. I believe there's a fine line between increasing the town's commercial base and maintaining the existing feel of the town, yet it is crucial to the town's financial stability. Thank you.
The next question is a question that I've heard asked many times, and Peter, we'll start with you. What are your proposals for increasing open space and parkland for the town?
One of the features of Winchester that one notices immediately is the amount of open space and parkland that we have. And it's very clear in talking to a broad cross-section of citizens that this is of great importance and it's something that we want to retain and possibly grow. The problem with growing it is that there isn't much left. But there are some opportunities. There are opportunities in the way of developing some of the larger development areas with clusters of residential rather than single-family homes that would allow leaving open space or conservation land as part of the development. This is something that's been successful in other places and to some extent here in Winchester, looking, say, at the Winning Farm development, which 33 acres of that property is in fact conservation land. So that there are some opportunities. They're not as great as if we were in the far suburbs beyond 495, but with some careful planning and with the consensus of the community that we want to grow in this area, there are some opportunities and the planning board should take the lead on it. Thank you.
Thanks. Gary, how would you address open spaces?
The town should try to pass at town meeting a community preservation act that includes open space, housing, and preservation initiative in our master plan. This community preservation act, as well as other elements, would be included in a master plan and would entitle Winchester the opportunity to file for grant funds that would help ease the financial burden. If we had a full-time professional planner, he or she would be able to determine what funds would be available to us by implementing Community Preservation Act. This type of initiative should be included in the town's new master plan. It should be very clear on goals overall and the project by project. That is measurable. Thank you.
Thank you. And Brendan?
Thank you. I believe the planning board should look at individual development proposals and work with developers to make development a win-win situation for both parties. Development in Winchester should be profitable for developers and economically and aesthetically feasible to the town and its residents. We run the risk of having projects forced upon us if we fail to foster working relationships with developers doing business in Winchester. I think all would agree that having input in what is developed in Winchester is crucial to the town's long-term vision. Proposed 40B housing and the density that it brings will be a major issue in the future, and it's crucial that we're prepared for such development.
And last, Lance?
I think two issues on open space and parkland. One is simply preserving and maintaining what we have. And I am concerned about that largely because as we cut back the staff and budget for the Department of Public Works, we're going to have fewer and fewer people tending to the public spaces. I notice we've been very successful in encouraging the landscape gardening businesses in Winchester to take responsibility for many of the traffic roundabouts. I think maybe there's an opportunity to ask them to expand their services there. But I think that's something that the town needs to look at. I think the other opportunity is to look very carefully over time at expanding the green belt that works its way through the center of town. It's worth remembering that what we now enjoy as a green belt through the middle of town was not more than 75, 100 years ago. Some of the most heavily used industrial railroad tracks, logging yards, and coal stash areas that you've ever seen. But we have slowly pieced together the green belt. And if you look at what Boston has done, for example, around the harbor, to basically slowly negotiate with each property owner, and as the properties are developed or redeveloped, begin to look for easements and opportunities to put pathways, bikeways, or to do replanning that brings back some of the green belt and makes the area so attractive in the summer and even in the snow time in the winter.
Gary, we'll start the next question with you. Could the planning board help to increase the supply of low and moderate income housing in Winchester?
The planning board alone cannot increase the supply. Again, this needs to be spelled out in the master plan and also in the zoning bylaws. They need a much clearer vision to help ensure that this master plan initiative can be accomplished. We also need to be clear on what we are trying to accomplish and when. I am for helping people who are in need of this type of housing, especially the elderly who have lived in Winchester their whole life and want to remain here. There is a need for this type of housing, but we need to ensure it really helps the intended target and will actually happen as a long-term item. Thank you.
Brendan?
I feel the planning board has the ability, moving forward, to create funding through which we would allow the town to purchase and/or construct affordable housing units through linkage monies generated through the development of new residential and mixed-use housing. I feel that instead of forcing developers to set aside affordable units, the town would be better served creating their own units.
Lance?
Okay. The planning board can contribute two things. One is that we can, with the support of our professional planner and the other staff in the town, begin to take a much closer look over a longer period of time at trends in population and housing. We need, both for school needs and for housing, to understand how this area is changing. So one contribution the planning board can be making is to begin to bring that strategic view and a longer term view in those to bear. I think the other thing, the town has been very effective at putting affordable housing units in as part of larger developments. I think what generally happens is that if they're developing 10 or more units, the town begins to negotiate or can negotiate with them to make one or more of those 10, 15% sometimes of those units affordable. I think it's well worth the planning board supporting that, and I think it's well worth their looking and seeing how effective that can be. I think the alternative to watching the affordable housing stock in this town shrink is to see the town shift more and more, and we're seeing the real estate pressure toward this, the town shift more and more toward a gated community that we look at in other states, and that we sort of say, this doesn't have the community, this doesn't have the sort of quality of community that we want to look at. I would hate to see that happen, and I think this is a worthwhile goal to pursue.
Peter, what would you do?
I think there's pretty clear evidence from the strategic plan and from the Envisage Winchester and from other, that this is a community goal and that this is something that Winchester wants to preserve. A diversity of housing so that we do need low and moderate income, low and moderate housing. And the option to do this, there's no magic. If you're going to have housing that meets these needs, you need somehow to either reduce the costs of the housing or provide some kind of subsidy from another direction. The town has done some work in terms of providing land as a way of lowering the costs, but that's somewhat limited, and the amount of land that the town now has to work with is very low. The ability to lower the cost of the construction is pretty limited in order to meet codes and so forth. It used to be you could throw an older school building perhaps at the problem, but these days bringing that up to code and so that it has a decent life is a very expensive proposition. But there are incentives that one can offer developers in terms of increased density in parts of the area and trade-offs so that they provide funding for affordable housing. And there's also the issue of whether we want a very broad linkage agreement worked out so that even the smaller units make some contribution toward preserving this kind of housing in Winchester. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. And with that, we'll take another break and be back in just a few moments.
The Winchester League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization that promotes informed participation in all levels of government. We hold forums with political candidates and on issues like flood control. We register eligible voters at the high school, honor town employees at an annual lunch. Our members are women and men 18 years and up. Our activities are designed to fit busy lives.
Television programming seen on WinCam is created by residents of Winchester and by nonprofit organizations who wish to share their ideas and activities with the community. WinCam offers classes, seminars, and tutorial sessions to teach residents how to use the television equipment to create their own programming. Courses are available for all age groups and interests and are offered throughout the year. You're welcome to visit your award-winning studio to learn how you can become involved, or you may call 781-721-2050 or visit us on the web at www.wincam.org. We are the Winchester television station, TV by, for, and about Winchester.
Winchester Community Music School is located at 407 Highland Avenue. With a faculty of 60 talented music educators, the music school offers private lessons, music classes for young children, small ensembles, free concerts, and much, much more. Hello, I'm Lori Russell, Executive Director of the Winchester Community Music School. I hope you take advantage of the wealth of opportunities that await you and your family at our home for music. For more information, please visit our website at www.winchestermusic.org or call 781-721-2950.
The Winchester League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization that promotes informed participation in all levels of government. We hold forums with political candidates and on issues like flood control. We register eligible voters at the high school, honor town employees at an annual lunch. Our members are women and men 18 years and up. Our activities are designed to fit busy lives.
You may pay for this.
Welcome back. We're with the Winchester League of Women Voters Forum, and we're talking with the candidates for the Planning Board to be elected on March 29th, in which there will be 2 seats elected at that point. Our next question, we'll start with Brendan, and it relates to the large building on sites, on housing sites. What are your thoughts on the mansionization? Where do private property rights intersect with the town's beauty?
I believe that mansionization is a reality in today's real estate world. Winchester is no different from any other surrounding city or town when it comes to the relocation and/or demolition of existing dwellings, the subdivision of existing parcels, and the construction of new, larger homes. I find it difficult to find fault with individuals who are currently doing this by right within existing zoning regulations. If the residents of Winchester feel strongly enough about stopping this practice, the planning board should take a hard look at changing the existing zoning bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance, what would you do?
Well, I think the most interesting proposal I've heard to deal with the mansionization issue would be for the town to implement a design review process. This would give the town, the community, the developer, and the householder an opportunity and a requirement to talk and meet before the development goes ahead. With few exceptions, most of the homeowners I've talked to, most of the developers in fact, are willing to sit down and talk with the community. In many cases, this can result in minor adjustments to the sizing, location, positioning of a redevelopment or an enlargement of a house that work out for everyone involved. I think the value in pushing for that is that over the long term, the value of the housing in Winchester is dependent not just on the size and condition of the house, but also the quality and sense of the neighborhood that it's in. And for all developers, and particularly for the homeowners, they should have a long-term interest in making sure that that neighborhood value stays high and that their house contributes to that. By putting a design review process in place, we have a soft way of beginning to start a discussion about what preserves that value and how the housing should fit into the character of the community.
Thanks. Peter?
Thank you. I think generally folks feel that mansionization on the first blush is a problem, but it is, I think, very firmly rooted on the other side in the property rights and what rights you have as an owner to develop your property consistent with the zoning laws that exist. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts laws in regard to the rights of the homeowner are very broad and really don't allow for zoning boards and towns to take large steps into defining and limiting mansionization. It does allow, if we choose to go this route, to have dialogue on a voluntary basis. But in terms of the limits that are on the lots, we've established the setbacks and the height restrictions and so forth. And if the owner wishes to build within those constraints, they can. And I think generally there's an agreement that private property rights are important. It is a spectrum, of course, of what is the community believes is important in terms of private property rights. I think most of us would agree that giving up the right to put a gas station on any lot in Winchester is a reasonable thing to do. I think also there'd be a general agreement that having a committee set the paint color, review the paint color of every property in Winchester would be inappropriate. Somewhere in the middle, I think we can find an appropriate balance, and I hope the planning board will be able to take a role in talking about this with developers and with neighbors so that there is generally a good result consistent with the laws that exist. Thank you.
And Gary?
Thank you. It's a pretty complex issue. I am for improvement of homes. It increases property values as long as it's kept within the boundaries of the existing neighborhood and zoning laws. I do agree with what Lance mentioned earlier about having a design review board. It should fit within the neighborhood, the look of the neighborhood. Other communities around the town, around Winchester, have also struggled with this issue. It also, part of it develops other houses in and around it and also increases the values, thereby increasing the tax basis for it. Something that definitely needs to be looked at, I think, going forward. The planning board should develop the zoning laws to have a closer look at some of these items so that it doesn't get out of control going much further. Thank you.
Thanks. And then one last question very quickly. Would you favor a proposal for a town decibel limit to prevent motorcycles from roaring through Winchester as other towns in Massachusetts have done? Lance?
Well, I must admit first that I have not noticed the problem, but I suppose if I were to do my homework or to ask carefully, I would find out if there's a problem. I guess I am of the general opinion that it's probably a limited problem in Winchester simply because I see very few people riding motorcycles in the winter on the ice and sand. I actually see very few of them riding in the summer eating bugs as they go down the road. So I suspect it's somewhat of a limited problem, and perhaps some enforcement actions by the police might be appropriate. Whether it's something that we should spend the town's time on at this moment, given our other pressing needs, or the planning board should be spending much time on it, I'm certainly open to suggestions and ideas.
Peter?
At the risk of offending those who are concerned with this issue, I think that one of the things that the planning board needs to do is prioritize its very limited time that it has into dealing with problems that are widespread and obvious. It's not clear to me that this fits in either category. If there is a problem with motorcycles roaring through town, I think the police would be involved in the Traffic Safety Committee. Actually, it's the Board of Health, I believe, that gets involved with both light pollution and noise pollution. And I think we have some avenues to do this, but I don't think the case has really been made yet that this is something we need to do.
Gary?
Thank you. If an area of the town is under siege from this or is having a problem regarding general loud noise from a construction site, I would favor a town decibel limit to ensure that a citizen is allowed his or her quality of life. In addition to lowering the sound decibel limit, we would probably be increasing safety as a motorcycle would have to travel at lower speed. But again, I'd put that on a priority list before we'd address that further.
Okay, and Brendan?
I would agree with the other candidates. I would not favor a proposal which would introduce a decibel limit within the town. I believe that the town has much larger issues to deal with, again, with limited time.
And that concludes our questions. And we'll move to final comments, 1 minute per candidate. And Peter, we'll start with you.
Fine, thank you very much. On the 29th of March, you're going to have an opportunity to vote for two of us. I would ask for one of those votes. I would also make a plea to all of you to go out and vote. This is an election which, in spite of the fact that there are 4 of us running for 2 seats and 2 assessors for 1 seat, after that, there are very few high-profile races, but a great number of your neighbors and friends are out for town meeting, and they need your support and your vote, and I urge you to go out and do that. I also ask for your vote. I'd like to come back into public service and bring the experience and the record that I have accumulated with me in a common goal to do better planning for Winchester in the years ahead. Thank you very much.
Gary?
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity, my family and friends for their support, and wish the other candidates good luck. I've expressed that there are no short-term fixes and we can't afford any more Band-Aid approaches to planning. Planning requires clear, concise, and more importantly, attainable objectives. If we really want to move forward, we need a master plan and a full-time planner. I will work hard to make sure we fulfill these goals, make sure you as a citizen are heard on issues. I will ensure that all boards understand the master plan and also communicate what goals and initiatives of the master plan are to the community. A master plan is not the end-all to this process, but is a starting point to success, and I am asking for your vote. Not only as a planning board member, but as someone who can be trusted with listening to your concerns and needs as they relate to planning. Thank you.
Brendan?
First of all, I'd like to commend the other candidates for running. Obviously, they feel strongly about it. My goal, if elected planning board member, would be to make Winchester a better place for the existing and future residents of the town, and to play an active role in its future redevelopment. I don't have as much experience as some of the candidates, but I would embrace the challenge if it was given to me, and if your support was given to me. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lance?
Thank you very much. Winchester is at a tipping point. We can take action, work together now, and address the major problems we're facing. For the planning board, that means a master plan, it means updating our zoning, and it means providing sort of the cohesiveness to pull together the various actions that we need to take to make the community remain a vital community. It also means, particularly the planning board, reaching out and working with the other boards, being proactive about pulling the community together to look long-term and to begin to look for our solutions. I've lived in this community all my life. I've benefited greatly from living here, and I would very much like to see it maintain its vitality. I'm asking you for your vote tonight. be able to contribute to that effort and to see Winchester successfully into the next 20 and 30 years. Thank you very much for the evening and a chance to appear before you tonight.
Thank you. And this concludes the League of Women Voters' first televised candidates forum. And I would like to thank our 4 candidates for availing themselves, but also more importantly for running. I think this is very important for Winchester. I would like to express appreciation to the League members who have spent considerable time planning this event. Frances Shawcross, Judy Muggia, Madeline Kaiser, Vicki Cocoluto, and Maggie Russell. And not least, thanks to WinCam for hosting this forum. WinCam would like to remind you that its Decision 2005 coverage continues with live election coverage on Tuesday, March 29th, beginning at 8 p.m. on Winchester's Government Channel 9. Host Alan Iden and WinCam political analyst Alan McDonnell will bring you your first look at the election result returns for the Planning Board and the assessor races. Thank you. We hope that this has helped you voters to make an informed choice. Please vote on March 29th, and good night.
This telecast is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Winchester, a nonpartisan organization for 85 years encouraging the informed and active participation of citizens in government.
Feeling disconnected? No time to get it together? Winchester Rotary is one-stop shopping for doing good, having fun, connecting with your community and the world. All this while having lunch.
Get in touch. Get invited. Join us now. We're in the phone books and online at winchesterrotary.org.
Rotary. Connect with your community and the world.
Hi, I'm Alan Iden, host of WinCam's award-winning election night coverage. Please join me, political analyst Alan McDonald, and political reporter David Frankel from the Town Hall as we bring you live town election results as they happen. Tune in to WinCam's Government Channel 9, Tuesday, March 29th at 8 p.m.
Hello, I'm Susan Schwartz, co-president of the Winchester Foundation for Educational Excellence. The Winchester Foundation for Educational Excellence, or WFEE, needs your help to encourage excellence and innovation in Winchester's public schools. We turn your donated dollars into teacher grants that directly benefit our students. To learn more about WFEE, please visit our website at wfee.org or call our office at 781-756-8020.
Access is empowerment.
Access is technology.
Access is involvement.
Access is expression.
Access is community.
Access is fun.
Access is knowledge. Access is democracy.
Access is free speech. Please be part of the Access experience. Contact your local Access Center for more information.
Hi, I'm Paul Casey, State Representative for Winchester and Stoneham. I ask you to join me on View from the Hill, where we'll discuss current topics, specific questioning, and more importantly, scintillating ideas. We invite you each Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Channel 9. And be prepared. And also, we hope that you join us.
What does it take to get you back into the lives of your family? Give your family everything. Give them your time.